I'll call this meeting to order. Calling the meeting to order. Glad everybody's in attendance. This meeting should be like this every month. So with that being said, we're going to do, the clerk will do the roll call. I'm going to ask everyone to be respectful of everyone else's time and be courteous. So, Clerk Childs, will you call roll?
Mayor Bashirs.
Present.
Alderman Majors.
Present.
Alderman Dill.
Present.
Alderman Dyer.
Present.
Alderman Hotchkiss.
Present.
Attorney Matt Lawler.
Present.
Okay, now we have Ms. Cammie, Mr. Clary from Boot Hill Regional Planning Commission. And we also have Kurt DeCiro with Smith & Company here for the public hearing for the CDBG grant concerning streets and drainage.
Yes. So we are going to, last year we applied for the street and drainage grant. It did not get awarded. It wasn't that it wasn't a good application. There was just 3 times the amount of competition that they've had previous years. So we're going to shoot for that again. We've already chosen Smith & Company as the engineer, so we don't have to go through that process again. There's one extra thing that CDBG has changed this year, and that is that the city has to procure for the administration like they procure for the engineer and the contractor and all of that. So I will get with Ms. Gale tomorrow and get her the information that I can give her, and then our contact at CDBG will have to help you from there, because if we help you any further, it completely disqualifies us from even sending a proposal to the city for the administration. Trying to think where I need to start since. Does anybody not know how the grant process works?
How much is it gonna cost us?
The city's not putting in any cash. The only thing that the city is putting in is that the county is doing all of the labor. So the county itself is putting in about $115,000 of work towards the grant. And so the city doesn't have to put in any cash. As far as I know, there's no labor coming from the city, that it's all the county. So it's not gonna cost the city a dime. But originally they told us that they were opening this cycle in July. They have pushed that back to September or October. They haven't given us a definite date. I figure it'll probably be around the same as last year. They opened on October 12th and the cycle closed end of the year. So we're hoping that it's the same this year. We were hoping for a couple months earlier, but they're not gonna let up on that. So it'll probably be late winter by the time that we hear about the award, whether the grant was awarded or not. And then if it is awarded, from there we will pick a contractor, somebody to come in and do the streets. And then hopefully late spring, early summer, they can get you guys on the schedule to get some paving going. Also, the drainage is a big thing, because we know, per the engineer, that the drainage contributes to the disintegration of the roads. And so they're also gonna take care of that some. Any questions?
Sounds real good. We need the streets.
Yes, yes ma'am, yes ma'am. But if you guys, because I know that the drainage and stuff gets really bad sometimes. If you guys have pictures of anything, because like the engineer's usually not here when it's raining. We can't be here when it's raining to get pictures. So if you guys have any drainage problems and see anything going on, take pictures, and that will help to show how bad the situation is here in town. Because we definitely want to get you guys that money.
And just so the public's aware, it's $500,000 max for CDBG.
Yes.
That will be going towards the streets and drainage. Kurt and I worked on it last year. There was some issues. We didn't get awarded the grant. The county, like Ms. Cammie said, the county's putting in somewhere in the neighborhood of $116,000 of in-kind contribution. So Kurt, if I'm not mistaken, the milling will have to be contracted, correct? Right. So any mill work where the roads have heaved up and where they can't just pave over it, it will have to be milled. They'll come in and grind it down, get it smooth, and then go with the paving in, correct?
So what Ms. Cammie said about if there's gully washer and you've got some good pictures since the window was shifted further back from July to September. So one thing that I've discussed with the mayor was making sure that when it comes time to submit, that we look over what we've got for those areas.
Yes.
If we've got substantial pictures that when, the city gets selected of drainage, then by all means, we can incorporate them in an updated version of that report. So that'll help.
And we don't need physical copies of the pictures. If somebody can put them on a disc or a flash drive and pass them on to the city, we can take them from there. We can actually print them before we send them. So you guys don't actually have to have the physical picture itself.
Maybe
Oh, no.
we could email them to the clerk and then
Yes.
the clerk put them on a flash drive.
Yes, yes, we can
And
do
a
that.
couple times over the past year, Kurt's come over after rain, and then I've taken pictures in the past and showed him.
Yes,
So we have a couple of target areas that's real bad on drainage.
yeah,
On the west side of town, Locust Street, going down Levy Street, then over here on the north side of town, North Bates and Pine.
Mhm.
That's a really bad area
yeah,
for holds water. So
okay.
Kurt is aware of
Oh, good.
most of the areas. It's just, everybody needs to be aware that 500,000 plus the 116,000 of in-kind is not going to get everything. I have to do it in phases.
Unfortunately, no.
Probably two phases, right, Kurt?
But I mean, it's, once we get this one closed out, we can just turn right around the next year and apply for another one. So it's not, this isn't the only time that we can apply. There's always, we can always look for other things as well, to try to help. I haven't come across anything, I don't know about if Kurt's heard of anything, but I haven't come across anything that's like streets. A lot of it right now is economic development and all of that, but I do have some information for you on the sidewalk. It looks like that cycle is going to open May of next year, and it will be competitive, but that gives us plenty of time.
Okay. Now, we've talked about sidewalks last year. We talked about tornado siren or inclement
Yes.
warning device. And then we talked several weeks back about sidewalks as well. Kurt did email me some information on sidewalks. Also demolition of commercial properties.
Okay?
But there was a section in there that said it was a 50-50 match,
Mhm.
unless there was a waiver made, and then the city's match would be 20%.
Okay.
And demoing commercial properties for green space,
Yes.
I don't know how people in here is aware or not, but the city did get awarded right at $600,000 for a community center grant. That community center is going to be built over here by the elementary school. And if, with the information that Kurt provided for a commercial demolition of a building, turn that into a green space, buy the community center for a park, walking trail, something along those
Right.
lines, that would be nice for the community.
Oh, absolutely. And there's all kinds of stuff. If you guys wanted to do a community garden, something like that, we can look into stuff like that too. There's lots of grants.
And I know you and I were already on the calendar for September when tornado sirens
Yes,
open up.
absolutely.
We will be applying for that, because that's through FEMA, correct?
Yes, and we actually, there's a resolution that I'll also send to Ms. Gale tomorrow. You guys are already, it's already in your plan. You've already adopted everything that you need to adopt. You just need to pass a resolution. And so if I can get that to her tomorrow, maybe you guys can get that done at the next meeting. And it's done and out of the way. And then we, we'll need budget and stuff like that, but we should be good to go for September.
Good.
Yeah, we're tired of waiting until.
Fingers crossed.
We're tired of waiting until the last minute. It's time to get prepared. I'm sorry.
Been here waiting 100 years.
You're right.
It ain't gonna happen no damn minute.
Well, unfortunately though, but, we're ready to get y'all some stuff for sure.
We're ready for it.
I know you are, yes. Anyone have any other questions?
All right, thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Any of the board members have any questions of Blue Hill? All right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Where did our signage find it?
And Ms. Cammy, on the, having to put it out for solicitation for administrative,
Yes.
can that be direct solicitation?
Yes, it will be direct solicitation. I know that CDBG has a list, and all of the independents on that list have to be solicited.
So you have to direct solicit, minority-owned businesses?
Yes.
Women-owned businesses, things of that nature?
And they have a list of all of the independents.
I have. Well, no, I don't have a list of administrators,
Okay.
so I will need that.
Yeah, well, I've got, it's in my folder there, but it's the procurement chapter of the CDBG manual. It tells you a lot, but there's also a phone number that's on it, and that's our compliance specialist at CDBG. And she's also like the section 3, and she does the minority and women and all of that, and so she'll walk you step by step through all of that. It's not hard.
Good.
It's just something that if you're not doing, it takes time. It takes us time, and we do it every day. So, but it's not difficult. It's not a difficult thing at all.
Now, are we still, Ms. Gail and I still on for the August 8th meeting with Amy Werner over at Blue Hill?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna get in contact, will 2 o'clock that day work for you guys?
2 o'clock, August 8th?
Yes. She wants to do it in the same day, and, she has some other meetings scheduled that day, so we're just doing a different time. So if 2 o'clock works for you guys, we should do it that day.
We'll be there.
Awesome. I'll let her know tomorrow.
And just so the public knows, once we go through that step, what is the next step in the community center?
For the new grantee meeting, for
The new grantee meeting, that would be where we go out to bid, wouldn't we, Kurt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after bids are let and then selected, and then I think you do environmental, and then you.
The environmental is actually almost clear. So, that's almost all the
So
way done.
That would speed it up. then.
Yeah, and we didn't run in, just so you guys know, we didn't run into any problems. I know you guys were worried about this site, over here. We didn't run into any problems whatsoever.
Of that being a brownfield
Right.
condemnation site?
Absolutely nothing.
Good.
So, we're all clear there.
All right. Well, appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think they're almost done.
You guys have the sign-in sheet for Miss Tammy back there somewhere?
Kurt, do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so, other than that Missouri Economic Development window that's supposed to be August 1st. That's what we were talking about. It's specifically called community revitalization. So, and the one drawback the mayor did say was they start off at 50% match, but write them a narrative listing the reasons why you would like that match lowered. And with the ARPA statistics that have come out with low, moderate income areas, unemployment, poverty levels, food stamp assistance, that should be really easy to write for that,
Okay.
for them to lower it. And the lowest match is 20%, so they don't let you slide off with nothing, which is not like ARPA, but, so it's just something else to try to accomplish. If you've got stuff to demo, or there are abandoned properties that even, like you mentioned, that site out there in the brownfield, it specifically calls out environmental stuff like that as well.
Okay. All right, well, glad we got that out of the way. Oh, right here it is.
So there were
This is
two
one.
of them.
Yeah, there was one for the board and one for members of the public.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is the May 2022 financial report. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the May 2022 financial report.
Have a motion on the floor?
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Next item on the agenda is the May 2022 collector's report. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the May 2022 collectors report.
Have a motion on the floor?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Next item on the agenda is June 2022 financial report. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the June 2022 financial report.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is the June collector's report. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the June 2022 collectors report.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7, the semi-annual financial report. Need a motion to postpone that. Brian Menz is going to come over tomorrow and make sure everything is up to date.
Is it postponed or revisit?
Matt, let's postpone.
Okay. I make a motion that we postpone the semi-annual financial report.
Have a motion on the floor to postpone the semi-annual financial report.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 8, regular board meeting minutes from April 2022, revised. These were postponed once before. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the regular board meeting minutes of April 11th, 2022, revised.
Have a motion on the floor.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is regular board meeting minutes from May 9th, 2022. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the regular board minutes for May 9, 2022.
Have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is special session minutes dated May 12th, 2022. Questions, concerns? May 12th, 2022.
I'll make a motion that we accept the special session minutes from May 12, 2022.
Have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is personnel minutes from June 16, 2022. Questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I believe that during that, the city attorney was we decided that the city attorney was offered some guidance. Should that not be reflected in this?
I think it should.
So these need to be revised.
And the guidance, he was going to come over to the city hall and discuss some issues. Okay. All right, we'll postpone these minutes for revisions. I'll entertain a motion to postpone.
I'll second that motion.
I'll make a motion that we postpone the personnel, approval of personnel meeting minutes for June 16, 2022.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing filing of application for the ARPA grant. And just so the members of the public are aware, the city was awarded a clean water engineering report grant totaling $50,000 from Department of Natural Resources. The city's match will be $12,500, or 20% of that. And we will be applying, the deadline is this Thursday for the ARPA grant. It's a $5 million wastewater grant. The city, what it will enable is, we have $3.2 million and some change bonding for wastewater infrastructure that was passed for the combined sewage and water works project that paid for the distribution, the new water lines, the water plant, water tower, and the remaining money was for wastewater upgrade. But as we all know, our water rates are already killing this town.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
we need the sewer upgrades, but if we go into the bonding, then that bond has to be converted into a loan that the city has to pay back, and we're in no position to afford that.
We knew.
So applying for this ARPA wastewater grant, it's $5 million max. And like I said, we was already awarded the Clean Water Engineering Report grant that will pay for the engineering, and then the city can use some of our ARPA funds as a contribution for the ARPA wastewater grant. We can also use some of the expenses that we've already spent using ARPA funds that we've got. We made aeration upgrades at the lagoon. We bought some grinder pumps for off of Wayne Street, across Little Railroad there. And then still working out the final details on whether or not the little over $350,000 the county paid for 8 new pumps, lift station repairs, control panels, controls in phase 1. And then they also paid for all new valves, appeturances, iron ductile for the valve pits on the lift station. So we're trying to work out the final details of that $350,000 the county put in can be used as a match. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion for the clerk to read Bill 712.
Bill number 712, resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources Financial Assistance Center State ARPA grant programs for subaward of federal financial assistance provided to the state of Missouri by the U.S. Department of Treasury pursuant to Section 602B of the Social Security Act, as added by Section 9901 of the American Rescue Plan Act, publication L number 117-2, March 11, 2021, 135, Statute 4, 223-26. Whereas under the terms of Section 602C of the Act and the Treasury's regulations, the state of Missouri has authorized the making of grants to authorized applicants to aid in the completion of specific projects. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Morehouse, Missouri, that the mayor in and for the City of Morehouse, Missouri currently Joker Shares, be hereby authorized to execute and file an application on behalf of the City of Morehouse, Missouri, with the State of Missouri for grant funding to aid in the completion of a lead service line inventory or drinking water, wastewater, and/or a stormwater project. Locate and reduce I&I, consider necessary treatment upgrades, land application and plant upgrades, mechanical bar screen to remove inorganic solids, prepare for increased treatment capacity, industrial park development, and lead service line inventory. The Joker Shares mayor and for the City of Morehouse, Missouri is hereby authorized and directed to furnish such information as the Missouri Department of Natural Resources may reasonably request in connection with the application which is herein authorized, to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the applicant, to furnish such assurances to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources as may be required by statute or regulation, and to receive payment on behalf of the applicant. First reading of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Morehouse, Missouri, this 11th day of June 2022. This one? Yeah. The undersigned, duly qualified and acting city clerk of the City of Morehouse, Missouri, is hereby certified that the above resolution is a true and correct copy of the resolution adopted at a legal convened meeting of the City of Morehouse, Missouri, Board of Aldermen held on the 11th day of June, July 2022, and further that such resolution has been fully recorded in the Journal of Proceedings and Records in my office. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 11th day of July 2022.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt bill number 712.
I'll make a motion we adopt bill number 712.
Have a motion on the floor,
I second that motion.
motion and a second, all in favor? Okay, now, Matt, for this one, can we read the title only?
If on motion and passage of that.
I'll entertain a motion to read bill number 712 by title only.
I'll make a motion that we read bill number 712 by title only.
Have a motion on the floor,
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Bill number 712, resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Financial Assistance Center State ARPA grant programs for some award of federal financial assistance provided to the state of Missouri by the U.S. Department of the Treasury pursuant to Section 602B of the Social Security Act, is added by Section 9901 of the American Rescue Plan Act, published L. number 117-2, March 11, 2021, 135 statute 4, 223-26. Whereas under the terms of Section 602C, the Act of Treasury's regulations, the state of Missouri has authorized the making of grants to authorized applicants to aid in the completion of specific public projects. Second reading. Second reading of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Morehouse, Missouri, this 11th day of July, 2022.
All right. Any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to pass ordinance number 711.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion we pass ordinance number 711.
712.
712.
711, ordinance 711, bill 712.
Well,
Have a
you're
motion on the-
passing bill 712 and it becomes ordinance 711.
I'll rephrase it. Make a motion we pass bill number 712, which will become ordinance number 711.
Have a motion on the floor,
I'll second it.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next item on the agenda is roofing bids for the library. Ms. Karen come to City Hall here a couple weeks back about the roof leaking, and part of the roof had collapsed, so Bobby and I went up. Bobby got the exhaust fan and everything mounted back in the ceiling. So Ms. Gill called 4 or 5 different companies, and gentleman called today that he was gonna be bringing another bid by, and he did not stop by with it. And Hopper Roofing. So we might wanna hold off because we haven't gotten 3 bids yet, but just so everyone's aware, the Board of Aldermen is aware of this. And the roof, there's a seam up there that's leaking, and this is just over the library portion. The portion of the roof that's over the old community center, it's completely gone. So it would need woodwork and everything. So we're only looking at the portion of the library, and then all of the around the building of the library, the old community center, and the old fire department. On that slope part, those shingles are all roached. So that's what these 2 bids include. So the board wants to wait till next month, we try to get a few more in.
I have a question. I guess I missed that we were soliciting bids for
We
that.
did direct solicitation.
Okay, so and not advertise it?
Well, I mean, we can direct solicit different companies.
Okay. And because of the condition of the community building and that, or the old community building, is it worth it to the city to replace the roof on the one, because it's connected and it's in terrible shape right there,
Well,
or relocate the library?
The way that roof is on the library, it's about 1.5 foot higher.
Right.
And all the water from the library runs over into the old community center. To replace the roof on that old community center, Kurt looked at that when he was looking at places.
No, I know.
She's saying, is it even worth
Fixing the library?
Right.
I mean,
As
where are we
opposed
gonna put
to
it?
relocate it. Well, I mean, we are gonna build a community center, so, I mean, I don't know space-wise, is there another place that we could house the library temporarily as opposed to throwing good money after bad? I mean, ideally, I thought we had kind of discussed knocking out that whole, from the fire department on down because of the condition of that building, so.
True, and when Kurt wrote the preliminary engineering report for the community center, there was a section in there that tried to get money
Right.
to add a community, or a library at
Right.
the community center.
And that might
We
be
got
on
it.
down the road.
We
for
could
sure.
do that later on down the road, but that's a CDBG grant, and you can only have one during a cycle. We got lucky with the CDBG CD, due to COVID, you could have 2 CDBG grants open at one time, but if they'll ever allow that again, it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah, and that design for that community center was overridingly to design it with, at some point, moving that library over so you wouldn't have to spend a bunch of money
Right.
rerouting electric, water, any of that. So it's to be designed so that that can be added on without major redesign.
Well, and I know this is not on the agenda to discuss, but here's a thought. Where are we at with the lease agreement for, Jonathan that wants to rent that space? Because if he backed out, is that an option? Locate the library over there
That was the
temporarily?
problem when the previous mayor moved the library out of the back of the city hall.
Right.
The bank building.
Right.
He wanted it moved over there. And the county library said no, because you can't separate the electric.
Oh, okay. And so we don't really have a space for the
Well, we,
Kiwanis building?
Kiwanis building is in worse shape than where it's at now.
I mean, I'm in agreement that we need a library. I'm not, I was just like, are we throwing good money after bad, fixing just one section of it when you've got the terrible shape of the building that's in the middle?
The thing that you gotta realize about that building down there is where the library is housed right now was an add-on to that community.
Right, it's newer and it's, right.
Right, and the roof is built up above the existing,
And even the
Community
concrete's
building.
up higher, that's why the water runs.
so can you compare that and it maintained without having to do something to the rest of the building? The answer to that is yes, you can. And especially if we're looking at a temporary fix and down the road, we can move the library into the new, or adjacent to the new community building.
Right. With
You know,
additional premiums.
that's gonna be your easiest fix. Because like Joe said, after the flood, the old Kiwanis building down there,
I haven't been in there, so I don't, it's in bad shape. Kurt, maybe you could speak to, could we, could that be set, that section that was called community building that's in such bad shape? Is there structurally wise, maybe you don't even know that that could be removed and then that be a freestanding building all by itself?
Well, that,
I mean, if we preserved it and kept that,
at what, the
kept
library?
for the library. Mhm.
Yeah, so in between the fire storage vehicle over there.
Right, that,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that, both, the mayor and, I want to say, Darren, both of them, I totally agree that if you look at the remains of what that community center was, it's not worth spending time
Salvaging, right.
on that. no.
right, for sure.
So,
But if we, to maintain the library and then possibly at some point knock that section out, could it,
well,
the integrity of the building stand, the structurally wise, that section that was built on where the library is?
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, if he's talking the seam is what's leaking, then that kind of isolates it over, not the entire roof, but certainly everything that was attached in the community center is full away.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So like I was saying, well, there's two bids, there's supposed to be, two more coming. There was a company out of Charleston, or Wyatt, that came over, and then, what'd you say, Hopper? It's supposed to be, they've already come to look at the building, they just didn't
Haven't
get their.
submitted it.
So do we want to postpone this to the next one?
Yeah, I just wanted to get it before y'all bring it to your attention.
I'll make a motion that we postpone the roofing bids for the library till the next month's meeting.
Have a motion on the floor,
I'll second it.
motion and a second, all in favor? Next item on the agenda is the board had voted to get appraisal for the original City Hall building. There's, how many page, 100 page? So Ms. Gale's gonna get that email out to everybody, but this is just the meat and potatoes of it, breaks it down, gives what he values the building at, and he values it at $20,000.
Do we want to, do we have an appraisal and previously had some interest? Do we want to look at, sell it ourselves, put it up for sale?
You could do it several different ways. You could put it out for bid in the newspaper, or you could hire a realtor and see his money. They might put it on the market and get more interest. You know, the thing with advertising in the newspaper, not many people are gonna see it and read it. There were several
But then again, if
several
we
different
only get-
parties that was interested in it. But is that interest still there?
Right.
So again, like if we only get 20,000 for it, they're gonna take a percentage if we use a real estate.
Yeah, they'll take 6%.
Right.
Yeah.
So would it be worth it to try? We could, just accept bids and then we have, we're not gonna accept anything less than.
Yeah, you could put a reserve on it.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't meet that, then it,
don't
we
sell
pay
it.
an authorization.
What does the board think about that?
See that?
You want to advertise put it in the paper for sale? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we advertise the sale of the old City Hall building.
I second that.
Have a motion on the floor? Have a motion on the floor?
Second motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Should we should we set a tentative date for, you know, because I know depending on when she wants to advocate for, do we want to extend it for,
You can run it for a week, 2 weeks, I mean, you can set how long you want to run it. You can also, you also put the reserve, you know, the city has the right to reserve.
I got a question. So if somebody was to buy it, can you make apartments out of it, or does it need to be put back as offices?
It should stay as offices.
So it won't wind up like the white church?
Right.
Do we need to redo that motion to make a reserve?
to make it?
I would put, and set a timeline of how long you want it to run.
So how long, what do we want? Do we want to say like September 1, or, I mean, what's something fair enough? I mean, our September meeting would be what? September 2nd, Friday, September 2nd, is that enough time?
Yeah, are you talking about running it for that long?
No, not running it, but like, she called the place to add with me in tomorrow, or whatever, it's like, we're gonna still accept,
Like 2 weeks.
yeah.
Run for 2 weeks.
And then they get that time to, everybody gets in, put a deadline for
Yeah, yeah, she said September 2nd at
Friday.
4 o'clock.
Okay. So, we want that motion, so we need to recall the last motion?
Yeah.
I'm deferring to you.
Matt, you can amend the prior
Okay,
path.
amend it, all right. So it needs to reflect that, I make a motion that we amend, what do you say?
Let's just make another motion clean, you can do it that way too.
All right. I make a motion that we advertise for bids for the Old City Hall building with a minimum of $20,000 purchase price.
I second.
Oh, sorry. With the deadline for submission September 2nd at 4 o'clock.
I second that motion.
I have a motion on the floor,
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor? All right, next item on the agenda is from Missouri Rural Services. It's a work comp invoice. They did an audit, and Alderman Dill could probably explain. I know we've had these before, and they go back, and it's typically the amount of employees that you have, and volunteers on the fire department, things of that nature, where we didn't pay enough premium according to them, and they add more to it. Is that pretty much the gist of it?
Yeah, and workers' comp insurance is based on payroll, so whenever you start a workman's comp policy at the beginning of the policy period, you estimate your payroll for that year, and if at the end of the audit period, or end of the policy period, they do an audit always, and if you have more payroll, then of course you owe more premium. If you have less payroll, you pay. So in this case, we underestimated our payroll, which is common to do, so underestimated our payroll, so there's an additional premium due of $427 for the audit period of 4/1/2021 to 4/1/2022.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to pay the invoice number 173879, total of $427.
I'll make the motion, we pay the Missouri Rural Services Work Comp audit of the invoice number 173879 of $427.
Have a motion on the floor,
I'll second.
motion and a second, all in favor? Next item on the agenda is an invoice from Vandeventer. They had to come down and fix the lift station out in West Acres, service call, and they had to bring down a single-phase start kit, and they gave us a spare single-phase start kit, so we have one on the shelf. Had the guys from Sykeston come over. They looked at it, said, call them. So that's what I did. It's invoice number 5540537, totaling $1,795.94. Any questions, concerns?
I've got one. Didn't we have a contract on those lift stations and stuff?
What that contract for was
Guaranteed.
they would pull the motors and do all the servicing on the motors.
Just the motors only?
Just the motors only. Not start capacitors when there was a power surge out there in West Acre. Does the board have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to pay invoice number 5540537, same vendor engineering for the amount of $1,795.94.
Have a motion on the floor?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is set a date and advertise in the paper for fall cleanup. So y'all want to shoot sometime in October, early October?
Last year we did the very last weekend in October, so I know we're getting the cart before the horse, but because we're appointing new park board members, but I don't know what their plans are. I don't want to interrupt what they normally do. Is that the first or second weekend in October they do something?
That would be a very good question.
It's usually the second.
The second Saturday in October?
The second week in October would be the 8th. So if we would like to mimic what we did in the spring, then where we had a cleanup day before the cleanup, I'd maybe make the suggestion of October 22nd as the fall cleanup day.
Well, does the board want to do the fall cleanup and the volunteer cleanup? Volunteers go around and clean up like they did in the spring prior to the fall festival? That way you kind of clean the town up a little bit, we're pushing up?
Last week of September for
Cleanup day?
the last Saturday of September for the cleanup day, and then
Saturday,
first Saturday, first for the fall.
And that sounds good to me. I'm wondering, is that going to, because the park people will be, working on their stuff, so is that going to overload them with trying to crunch and get stuff done? I mean, that sounds great to have it cleaned up before we actually have a fall festival, but at the same time, there's only so many weekends, and if they're working on stuff, I don't want to overload them.
But here's my thing, there's gonna be like a lot of people throwing their trash on the ground and all this, so I think we should wait until after.
Well, I mean, like last year, we did the park cleanup after the fall fest, and I mean, I didn't notice a lot of trash. I mean, people was throwing out candy and stuff, but it pretty much all got picked up.
Yeah.
We got dumpsters at City Hall. Anything that's left on the ground after the fall fest.
Let me throw this out. October 1st is going to be the Cotton Carnival Parade, so that's a big draw. So, people are going to go to that, their kids are going to be in it or watch it, so that would be out. So
Yeah, but October 1st is when Best would be coming around, picking up. So he starts early
All
morning.
that
Right.
stuff would already be out there.
So September 24th,
September 24th.
have a cleanup
Do community cleanup on, yeah.
on the 24th, and then 7 days for the pickup for the 1st, and then have your fall festival on the 8th, or whatever day they say.
Whatever they pick.
Last year they had
Anybody on the park department have any, or in the school department, have some thoughts? You planning on having another one? Okay.
That sounds good to the board members?
That's-
All right, I'll entertain a motion, advertise for fall cleanup, Saturday, October the 1st, 2022.
Make a motion that we advertise for the bids for fall cleanup, October 1st, 2022.
Have a motion on the floor?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Next item on the agenda is trees along the old railroad track. Alderman Hodgson.
We just we have an abundance. I mean, you know, and I know part of it was our mower was down, you know, for a while and couldn't mow, and it's, I don't know, I feel like we need to maybe solicit bids to get somebody to come and see what it would take to knock out some of those trees, you know, especially when you're coming right into town. There's such an overgrowth of those. You can't hardly see the sign coming into town. And so those, like the trees that before you get to the sign, you know, that ditch, or as you're right around in that area, or even on the other side, there's just a lot of stuff that I feel like maybe needs to be cleaned up. Speaking of, there's been I guess a stump that has been left along the railroad tracks there, and it's been there for years. And so it's like, let's just burn it up, or get the fire department to burn it up, or somebody just clean it up and be done with it, so it's not such an eyesore right along the main drag of town. So,
Anybody else? Any thoughts on soliciting bids to clean up along the old railroad track? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we solicit bids for to clean up the trees along the old railroad tracks on Highway 114.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor? Next item on the agenda is, the agenda's changed a little bit. I have, Ms. Gill, you want to read? So, start with that one.
Mayor Bashirs, it is with heavy heart to let you know that I will not be able to complete the training for the city marshal position. So with that being said, I have no reason but to inform you that I must resign. I wanted to be able to go through training and to complete this course, but personal reasons are holding me back. I know through rumor mill, everyone thinks it's about the money. It is not. I could care less about the money. I have some personal things in my life right now that I must take care of before I can go forward with the academy. I would be missing more classroom work, training, and fail the course with my attendance. I do not want to put my personal information out there for the world to know, as it isn't any of their business. I have, for the most part, kept our city clerk up to date with the most recent information. I just finally got all the answers I needed to know a few days ago. I know it has taken me a while to get answers, but it took a while to get answers. Hopefully someone can apply and get paid full time. I know there have been people posting that some gentleman was wanting to work here, but he couldn't part-time. Other than that, I'm very sorry that I can't fulfill what I was voted in for, but I need to work on this personal thing in a timely manner before things get worse. Best of luck, Brianna Madigan.
All right, any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept Ms. Brown's resignation as city marshal.
Make a motion that we accept Brandon's resignation.
Have a motion on the floor,
I second that.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item is
Dear Mayor Bashirs, with myself resigning from the city marshal position due to my personal health issues, I would love to withdraw from resigning from my park board position as chairman of the park board now that it's not a conflict of interest. I absolutely had an amazing time in this position, raising funds and being a big help to the community. My goal with the park is to update existing equipment and pavilions. As a mother with 2 kids, I always want the park that I need to be suitable for their needs. I hope to be able to stay in this position. Thank you, Brianna Madigan.
all right. That being said, I have an appointment list for park board members. Ms. Browner will be staying on as the chairperson. Ms. Kim Wilson, are you going to stay on as vice chair?
No, I'm not.
Would you like to submit a letter of resignation?
I don't have one written yet, but can I just do it by person?
Matt, does that have to be in written format, signed?
For clarity's sake, sure, but if the board wants to consider her resignation verbally tonight, that would be appropriate.
Board, do you have any objection? No objection? Okay, Ms. Kim?
I'll gladly give you a resignation tonight of the board call for resignation for the second chairman.
Okay. As vice chair, Ms. Kim Wilson has given verbal resignation. I'll entertain a motion to accept that verbal resignation.
I make a motion that we accept Kim verbal resignation for park board vice chair.
I'll say.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right. Then I do have some appointments to make. So Ms. Kathy Hammond would like to be appointed to the park board. So I'll entertain a motion to appoint Ms. Kathy to the park board.
As what position?
The chair sets the.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we accept Kathy Hammond on board of the park.
Have a motion to accept Ms. Kathy Hammond to the park board. And a second. All in favor? Next motion that I'd ask for, we have Ms. Sissy Sperling. You want to serve on the park board? All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept Ms. Sissy Sperling to serve on the park board.
Make a motion, we accept Ms. Sissy Sperling on the park board.
Have a motion on the floor. Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Is James didn't make it. He had to work? Okay. He said he was going to try to make it. He was going to try to get someone to cover for him. They might have had a call or something. Next item on the agenda you see is an invoice for pump testing for all three fire trucks. Invoice number is blank. So it was pump testing on all three fire trucks, the ladder truck, and then the other units. Total of $712.50 from Wood Service Company. I will entertain a motion if there's no question.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Wood Service Company invoice that's dated June 7th, 2022 in the amount of $712.50.
Have a motion on the floor?
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Now we'll move on to old business, late fees for water bills. There's a list in front of you. 10 different cities around us, well, 9 different cities and a public water supply district number 3. Our current late fee for water bills is $5. It's been that way since, I believe, 1994. So, the City of Minor charges 10% of the outstanding bill. East Prairie Water Department charges $5. Oran Water Department charges 10% of outstanding bill. Cape Girardeau charges 10% of outstanding bill. Dexter charges 10% or $10 flat fee, excuse me. Matthews Water Department charges 5% of outstanding bill. Anniston Water Department charges $15 flat fee. Charleston Water Department $13 flat fee. Bloomfield $5 flat fee. And PWSD 3, who we sell water to, charges a $10 flat fee. So I know we brought this up before, and Alderman Hotchkiss had objections stating that we were trying to make money off of our residents, but this only affects people that are late on their water bill. And is there anything else that the board members have? We charge $5.
What I said was that I am not trying, I am not in the business of trying to make money off the backs of our residents. And the collector stated that there are currently 130 people that are constantly late every month. So in that alone, we're making over $500 in just the late fee. So that's what I said, was that I'm not in the business of trying to make money off of them in that regard. And let me just add this too, and inflation is the highest it's been in 50 years.
That's right.
And the price of gas is higher than any of us have ever seen in our lifetimes. And so right now, I don't think is the time to be increasing late fees. Our postal service, we never get our mail on time. Just last week, I received my water bill for June, which was mailed out in May. So the mail is constantly late. I know the clerk addressed it, told me the other day on Friday that Patty had went in and talked to and had contacted a postal supervisor, and that we would be receiving our mail more timely, and that several people received their June bill and their July bill the week before last at the same. So we're making gains, we're making strides, but it has yet, I mean, we're talking about 1 month. I just this past week received my July bill. So had I waited, if you wait to pay when you receive it, it's always going to be late. Now, I'm not opposed to, I know we discussed that there's a $20 reconnect fee. I'm not opposed to discussing maybe negotiating a higher price for the reconnect fee based on the fact that, you know, we pay Bobby $20 an hour almost, and so we're losing money on that for the amount of time that he has to drive out and disconnect and reconnect. So I'd be okay with that, but not on the late fee.
Well, the inflation, the fuel costs, that's all right, but that's also impacting the city. All of our chlorine costs are going up. Almost every month we get a rate increase for the cost of chlorine a gallon. The DPD pillow package that we have to buy from home, they're hitting us with a 12% surcharge on everything. So this is, we're not talking about raising it $10. We're talking about going from $5 to 10% if the board wants to do 10%. What does the rest of the board members think?
Bobby, how many disconnects you do a month? Average?
I don't want to spend any more than we have.
7 or 8 a month?
I don't need to.
Well, you work 40 hours a week, right?
$82 per
So 7 and 8, so 2 a week, in a 40-hour work week. Right.
10% would be $9 for me.
Yeah.
But Bobby also does the job.
Hey, also parking, how much does it cost, and time-wise, how much does it spend time-wise trying to rent that?
I think everybody's getting kind of confused. This is just for late bills, late water bills. It's
Yeah,
not
but
for-
some of us don't get paid Social Security
Right.
until the second Wednesday. And the second Wednesday isn't always before the 10th of the month.
so-
I've had to pay the late bill a couple of times
So-
because I'm not rich. And this, I'm trying to take care of my nephew, trying to take care of my sister, and I'm spending $1 million on gas running into the doctor, and then all these high prices of food, and then y'all want to raise the late fee.
Well, here's the thing. I get paid once a month, and I know when my bills are due. And I have to hold out from the month before if my
But you know
bill's
what?
due prior to that.
Sometimes crap
check coming
happens that knocks you down.
Hey,
you
that
can't do it.
is
That's right.
true.
That's a
Ma'am, I
thousand
know that
dollars.
Patty has told me personally that if you call her and let her know what's going on, that she would wake
If you had
up.
family that you had, I had a nephew that just had his leg cut off because of diabetes. I don't have a car decent driving, but I got his car so I can take him. And my sister has had 5 strokes since last October because I talked her into taking that damn job. And 10 days later, she had a stroke. And then since then, she's been having. So I'm the runner, and I'm the one that's got to pay the gas bill. And I used to be ahead on my bills. But I ain't no more because life happens.
Well, Miss Kathy, also, you worked for the city for how many years?
I worked for the city for 18 years, and I made, the most I made was $8.50 an hour. And when I left, all I got to take was my damn fur.
Okay.
Y'all did.
Ms. Karen, you worked for the city
Y'all
for how
did
many
work
years?
with other people on the water bill, but you know how I was.
Ms. Karen, you worked for the city for how many years as collector?
And she
20
worked
how
with
many?
us.
25? The water late fee was $5 when you left, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember what year it went on, but.
It was in the middle 90s.
But the fact is, the city has to raise our costs somewhere along the line.
The city's already raised us about that. When I left here in 2008, the minimum water bill for 2,000 gallons of water was $28.15, wasn't it, Bill?
Yeah, and the
And
residents
now-
of this town voted for and passed that bond initiative.
I didn't vote for it,
But that
still
doesn't
voting
matter.
for it.
That doesn't matter, that's called collectivism.
That's
When
right.
it passes
And
as
it's
a
also-
majority, then
and
we
it's
all have to
also-
pay for what it costs.
And it's also called, something I learned 53 years ago in civics, is the first priority of a government is to provide protection for its citizens.
That's right.
We got 2 county cops that live in this town.
Where?
I said they live here.
They live here, but you
Yeah.
call them and they can't always come.
Well, we had a city marshal in this town for years. We had 2 homicides in a year. We've had arsons, we've had thefts left and right. When we had a marshal here on duty all the time.
Well, I got crack houses right down from me and I can't get sleep at night. Don't go ahead.
I had one next to me until the guy died.
Saturday evening, I was riding my mule along the railroad track, went down by Kelly Starbucks. And a man had a woman down on the ground with his arms around her neck.
Did you call 911?
No, I yelled at him and I said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm gonna call the sheriff's department." And the man got up and took off and the woman was still laying there. And I asked her if she was all right, if I need to call an ambulance.
We don't need a 7-year-old
We
woman
don't
to call
have a
the
cop. If you called me
We need a
that,
police officer.
how long would it take here before that man killed that woman?
Hour 45 minutes.
This board has voted to advertise for a police officer twice. And I've got on my agenda and
Yeah,
my
but you
notes
don't want
to
to-
add.
Sounds like it's about to go in the right direction.
Mr. Mayor, how'd we get from water bills to this?
Good question.
We're
sir.
going
We're tired of our stuff running up. We're tired of dogs tearing up our yard. We're tired of being hemmed up on the front porch by dogs.
Joey, what's happening to our police budget? Where's all that money?
And what happened
It's
to the
still
train?
there.
And what
It's
happened to the
absolutely-
train? We got a copy yet. We're gonna get a copy.
You can get a copy anytime you like. So, back on track.
You don't want yours.
Sir,
Got a question. Everybody knows inflation is going up. That means your gas, your lights, your water, for the city has gone up. If they don't start charging late fees and raise that, how do you expect to get water? How do you expect to maintain that plant down there?
How do I?
Tell me how.
I expect them to do the best they
He's over there
can.
yelling, those people over there are yelling. Money don't come free.
We can't afford a code. We can't afford a code.
How do you think they pay for code enforcement?
We can't afford it. That money could be spent other places.
hey, come on now. Alright, so back to the water lake fee.
You can say on Facebook.
Does the board entertain a motion?
Hey, folks, we're getting a little out of line. I can't hear the mayor. You can be removed from the meeting if you don't follow order,
Who's
okay?
gonna remove him? We ain't got a police officer.
Fair point.
I mean, I've been in court meetings for a while.
Alright, please, y'all, we asked at the beginning to be respectful of everybody's time. That's what we're here to do. Board members, does anybody have anything about the late fee increase?
Actually, when the late fee was originally presented to us, it was not presented as to say to absorb costs or because we can't afford it. What it was presented as is the collector said that there are roughly 130 people in this town that are always late, and she's tired of them being late all the time. That's how it was presented, not that we needed to make money, because my question was, how many people are we talking that are late? And she gave us the number of 130 customers that were late. So I said, that's, you know, I mean, at 130 customers, like I said, that's a bare bones minimum. We're making $500 just on late fees.
Only if they pay it.
So, if they pay
If
their
they don't
late
pay the bill, then they don't pay the late bill fee.
then
If they don't pay the bill, they don't pay the late fee, then the 21st of the following month, we cut them off, we'd already charged a $20 reconnect. Why let it get to that point? Already done, or not everything?
There's a lot of people want fixed incomes and still pay their taxes.
That's right. Everybody knows the bill's still on the 10th, whether you get it in the mail or not. Yes, sir. Please speak up, Mr. Charlie, I can't hear.
Why, everybody knows it's due by the 10th of the month. If you ain't got it by the 1st of the month, go up front of City Hall.
Yes, Patty makes payment arrangements with people all the time.
I get my checks the same.
Do you? But you've worked in a place where you made a hell of a lot more money than I made, and you put in the bank all the years. Where I worked at the city, had to pay my own insurance, and had to work I started out $5 an hour, and after 18 years, I made $8. And I didn't have no time.
Okay, what does the board want to postpone this? You want to say, the hell with it, we'll leave it at $5, or what do you want to do?
I think we, the disconnect fee, let's raise it.
You're hurting them more by doing
I
that.
know, that's what I'm saying. What do we do here, Joe? I mean, $5 or?
It's $5 now. If you raised it to 10%, the minimum bill would be $7 and some change. It's not like you're hitting people real hard.
I know.
We're talking about a few dollars a month per person that pays late. So what does the board want us to do?
Because I think,
Yes.
No, so obviously, $5 is not a penalty enough, right?
No.
Down to quit, doing what we're doing.
Hang on, who's talking? Yes, ma'am.
On the disconnects, do you all mail out or post them on their door that they have a disconnect?
No, there's a letter on file that was sent out in 2003, I believe, from the former, 2013, from the former collector, that the city would no longer be providing shut-off notice.
Is that something that we may be able to go back and change? Because I know a lot of people, I know a lot of people that have, if they have that disconnect notice, they may be able to take that today out to get some help on getting their water bill.
That's a good point. And Patty tries to have everyone's phone number, and she calls people. She calls people and tries to work with people. Hey, look, it's coming up on the shut-off, it's coming up on the shut-off. And she has payment arrangements with a lot of people. Now, a lot of people can't pay it all at once. They, like Kathy said a while ago, sometimes life gets in the way, something happens. That you have extra expenses in a month that you typically don't have. So Patty tries to work with people.
I think that we need to try to maybe get that fixed, that these people get a notice for their disconnect, and maybe they can get some help, because if they don't.
Yeah, I think, are we not required to do that when we shut off a utility?
There's a letter on file up there that everybody got sent back in 2012 or 13 that the city would no longer be sending shut-off notices.
I think when you have, I'll have to look at it, but I think when you're, especially if you're concerning a senior citizen or a disabled person, there are 3 or 4 steps you have to go through before we can provide a shut-off like that.
yeah, and there's also.
I'll look that up and get a memo down to you.
But I think Patty's got some applications up here too.
I'll entertain a motion to postpone this until the city attorney can get us some more information.
I want to add one thing while we're talking about the disconnect, possible late fee disconnect. I think we need to look into, it's been over 100 degrees. We have heat advisories. We need to look at not disconnecting when it's over 100 degrees. I mean, most of us are familiar here in town that have Liberty or Ameren, you know, when the temperature reaches a certain, you know, they do not shut off no matter the outstanding bill. So if it's below 35 degrees or if it's whatever, they don't shut off. So that might be something else that we take a look at. When it's 100 degrees for multiple days, you know, weeks at a time like it has been, we're in a drought right now, that we don't disconnect their service, especially without some type of warning and, or I just think that we need to not disconnect until that season passes, until the days, you know, whether it be 100 degrees, whatever it is. I think we need to take a look at that.
You know, we went through this, the city went through this with the prior administration. It was always, you gotta have a heart, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And that's how we ended up with over $35,000 in delinquent water, trash, and sewer
I
bills.
understand.
And then we was behind, way behind. You know, I'm not opposed to, if the city attorney says, hey, there's legalities here that you can't shut off somebody's services if it's over X amount of degrees or below X amount of degrees, but you're getting off into the weeds here. So I'll entertain a motion to postpone until the city attorney can provide us with a little bit of legal information on the late fees for water bills.
And you guys should know also, there's also help at the city hall for the water bill. It has a form you can go up there and apply for.
Yes, this board voted for that SAHFR. Those forms are available. We got forms, Alderman Majors got forms from DAOC to help people pay people's utility bills. So it's the help is available, but it always gets into an excuse situation. And I'm not saying that it's always right or it's always wrong. It's just the city has to take steps to protect it. And this is a business. So I'll entertain a motion to postpone the late fees for the water bills.
The city is not a business, you're representing both people.
But the city is a business.
It can be run like a business, but
The
you're not.
city is a business.
We have a municipality, but we, the city, are not business.
But there's
I'll
also,
entertain a
if you
motion.
own your house, there's weatherization forms up there you can also.
You're elected by the people for the people.
I'll make a motion that we accept, or we postpone the late fee issue until the lawyer can find out additional information.
Motion on the floor.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Which one of those?
Next item on the agenda is the city brochure, addition corrections. All the additions that was discussed in the last month, or month before last meeting, since we didn't have a forum last month. There is, we take water tests, it's supposed to be tests, and Ms. Gill has that corrected at City Hall. Other than that, you know, it's been said that the city spent a bunch of money for these brochures. These brochures were copied from a public water supply district using our numbers, our locations, our dates, our times, and you can print 100 of them for 17 cents. We had a resident donate several cases of copy paper. So the misspeaking that's been said online is not true. So I'll entertain a motion for the board to adopt the city brochure.
What was the cost, Matt? Did you aid in this, correct?
Beg your pardon?
Did you aid in this brochure?
I edited it a little bit, but that was it.
'Cause I was like, what
I
was
didn't
the
bill
outcome?
for that, I don't think.
I'll make a motion that we accept the city brochure additions corrections.
It's for people, new customers that come in or existing customers. The brochure can be given to them and it explains dates, times, water rates, for residents, non-residents, meter deposits, because the meter deposits last year got raised, or maybe year before last. So a lot of people, if they move out of town and then move back, the meter deposits have went up over the past 2 years. So they might not be familiar with what the new rates and water deposits are. So when they come in and pay their deposit, get the water hooked up, you can give them a brochure. It's just a simple brochure. It explains the testing that's done at the water plant, when city council meetings are. It's a lot of general information, but it mainly relates to billing procedures, deposits, trash rates, sewer rates, discontinuance and reconnection of services. That way, it's in written format, so people have it on hand if they
They were
want.
at the city hall?
Well, we've not adopted them yet. If the board adopts them, then yes, they will be made available at City Hall.
That's a great brochure. I'll make a motion, we accept the city brochure additions and corrections.
Have a motion on the floor, motion and a second. All in favor? Next item on the agenda is Bill 710, Ordinance 709, revisited. Mr. Waller, you had an opportunity to...
What are we looking at?
It's the disposal of surplus and abandoned property.
I don't know that this one this one doesn't have my changes on it. I just submitted those today, and I don't think Scale got them.
What time did you submit them?
I sent it at 4:13, and then I found out when I got here that it didn't send. So.
Okay. So
I made the changes that Ms. Hodgkins suggested.
Okay. So
And I added a little bit more in that paragraph.
I'll entertain a motion to postpone Bill number 710.
I'll make a motion that we postpone bill number 17.
Have a motion on the floor? Motion and a second. All in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda for old business is employee handbook revisions. Everybody submit the revisions that they want to be made. If so, if those are the only revisions that you'd like to see, it was emailed, we can get them adopted and put in, put in the employee handbook. I know that the city holiday is wrong in that has to be changed.
This was the old one that you gave me. I didn't get any updated.
No, that's what I'm saying, the updates that was emailed, that's all the only updates that people get to.
I didn't feel like we had the consensus on the tobacco thing, so we were gonna have a no tolerance policy, but it sounded like.
Well, you're saying no tolerance in city vehicles or city buildings, no nicotine products at all. That's what
Vaping, right.
Alderman Hill suggested. If that's what the board wants, we can motion it and get it out. Is that what y'all want?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the no nicotine, no tobacco usage in city buildings and city vehicles.
Have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
That's just employee handbook.
Yeah, just in the employee handbook. All right. Next item is under new business. Ms. Gill has a resignation to read.
Mayor Joe Shears and Board of Aldermen, Gail Child City Clerk, Morehouse, Missouri. Dear Mayor and Aldermen, I would be presenting this in person, however, as I stated in the earlier text message, I was exposed to the COVID virus over the weekend. Additionally, with there being a city board meeting tonight, I wanted to get this in your hands quickly for presentation at the meeting. Please accept this letter as notice of my resignation from my position as code enforcement officer for the city of Morehouse.
Hey!
My resignation is effective as of July 11, 2022. I appreciate the support that I received from Mayor Joe Shears, City Clerk Gail Childs, City Collector Patty McCree, and some of the aldermen. With the recent event that took place, Alderperson Hodgkins called for my immediate suspension without knowing but only one side of the situation and never reaching out to me for my comments. Therefore, it is my opinion and perception that Alderman Hodgkins does not have the best interest of city staff and the community. I appreciate the opportunity you afforded me, and I wish the community, staff, mayor, and aldermen the very best. When I'm certain that I do not have COVID, I will return the building keys issued to me. Also, I will recreate a flash drive with all electronic files that I have created and deliver to city staff in order for staff to have access to my previous work. Respectfully submitted, Colin Cecil.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept Mr. Cecil's resignation.
I make a motion to accept Colin Cecil's resignation.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor? All right. Next item for new business, I'll entertain a motion if the board wants to do so, to vote to advertise for a deputy.
I make a motion that we advertise for a deputy.
Motion on the floor,
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Thank you so much.
Next item on the agenda, let the board know that the county delivered chat and coal patch to City Hall, or behind the old City Hall. Also like to give an update on the lift station repairs. The phase 2 project was set to start, but the transfer pump that the county has, they had 2. One of them, Farmer was borrowing, and it messed up, so it's in St. Louis getting repaired. The backup that the county has, Farmer's currently using, and as soon as the pump that's in St. Louis getting repairs is fixed, Vanderbilt will be down to start on replacing all the iron ductile and valves and the valve pits. That, just so the public knows, that was $182,000 worth of repairs that the county commissioners paid for the city of Morehouse. That's in addition to the $142,000 and some change in repairs that purchased all 8 pumps, control panels, and controls for the lift station.
Thank you to the county.
Next item on the agenda is, or under new business, is we had a resident come up City Hall. The house is vacant and it's over on Spruce Street. It's 7, Bobby, you remember that 712, 707? It's right behind, well, where Jill and Tony live. It's a house there. When the Stroud's old house, yeah. So when they was coming through putting in water meters, they skipped that house.
They did mine too. There's a couple houses that get them new.
Were they vacant house? Was it a vacant house at the time?
Yeah, but the next one that he laid hot on, he got one of mine vacant lot, didn't he? And Joey got one of his. And I don't know who stole the lid off from there.
Everybody in town, the cities in this project was included to get a churn. The meter, not included, but a churn and a riser. I attended the board meetings and I made sure that when I hired an attorney and filed public records request to get the contract for this project, I knew what everybody was supposed to be entitled to. And I told several people that inquired about getting a churn on their empty lot. Jimmy Duncan was one that got it. He went up to City Hall and got it. But people here in town, they should have got a tap on their lots, but they skipped them. So where that went, I don't know. But yes, I absolutely did, Kathy, you are correct. 100%, I got a churn on my lot.
And I thought, well, how about everyone build a house there? I want to
So,
see that.
back to the agenda,
Like, you don't
that
wanna
house
hear-
on Spruce Street, they're wanting a tap. I contacted 2 plumbers that do taps. One of the guy, well, not necessarily a plumber, but he does distribution for PWSB3, named Chad Cyber. Texted him if he would do a tap, what he would charge, didn't hear back. And I also contacted Hutchison that does it for other cities over Mississippi County, and I never heard back from Hutchison either. So, for the tool, when we did the tap over there on Pine Street at that Kwanzaa hut, or Geodome, or whatever it is, Chad let Ben borrow that tool, because he knew Ben, they'd worked at Essex together. But just for the tool, it's a kit, because you gotta tap those water lines hot. It's $1,200 for that tool, and you'll see in your package, that's the cheapest place you can get it from USA Blue Book. So, does the board want to try to continue finding contractors that would do the tap? Or do you want to buy the kit? We've got the saddles, we've got the cork stops. Bobby's done them. Chris from Sykeston assisted us just a week or so back on Dunklin Street, replacing the water line, the water leak under the road. So if we have the kit and the tools to do it, we can do it if it's on A side. If they're on B side, we're going to have to get somebody to come in and bore. So that's going to be an extra expense for boring. So the board can look this over, you can think about it.
Well, I'm gonna say for myself, yes, because I, in the same boat, have a piece of property, and I was promised by the former mayor that that would be, I actually was told multiple times and by, Waters that that piece of property would, have a churn on there, and it didn't happen, and the mayor said, yes, 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 it will, we just hadn't got it done, And so then it came before the board, and the previous board decided not to, the mayor's promise, the former mayor promised, oh, well, as long as I'm still mayor, she'll get her churn. None of that transpired. So I, for one, had also fallen into that category that I did not get one. So if it, I mean, we can spend this, we have those ARPA funds, I say, we buy the kit, we have it ourselves, but we don't have to worry about it.
Yes. Yes. And just so everybody knows, Alderman Deal read your email
Yes.
in the board meeting.
Right.
And Pete's words was, if I'm still alive when she decides to build, I'll pay for it myself.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, I personally can relate to this, that, you know, I was told by the people installing the water, yes, it would be done, just hadn't got to it, never happened, and, so.
Okay. All right, so anybody else have anything on the, yes, ma'am?
Back to the water churn. I bought a piece of property, got the round water churn on it. So you're saying that more than likely I'll have to, like, put the new pipe?
Yes, if it's got a round churn, that was another thing they were supposed to have done, was they were supposed to remove the old churns and fill in those holes. Because people went and taken the lids, well, you know, that's a 3-foot diameter hole that someone could fall in, or someone's puppy or something could fall in. So, yes, to answer your question, if you got an old style churn on that property, it is not connected into the new water main. All those taps are dead. And it's an old round churn?
Yeah.
They run a new meter.
Yeah, they put a new meter in the old churn now.
I don't know, I'm getting water, but it's a round meter out here.
Okay,
I can tell you
so,
who took the lid off of mine. You can go on Marshall Street right there, and there's bricks in there. We put the bricks in there to keep her from somebody falling in. It really needs a lid for safety. I don't know who sold it.
what's the address on Marshall?
I think 308. It's an empty lot where Crack used to live, right behind it.
There's one Bailey.
Okay, so any other questions on the tap?
I'll make a
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the AquaTap Junior Tapping Kit for $11.95, part number 63158, from ARPA funds.
Have a motion on the floor.
A second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Alright, I make a motion that we adjust, we'll have to move the funds from ARPA over to the water, so we'll have to reflect that.
Yeah, but ARPA has its own checking account.
Okay.
The funds get written directly out of that.
Does it need to be paid though out of the water? Does it need to be moved to the water?
Well, that's what ARPA's for,
Yeah.
water, wastewater, broadband.
So we don't have to move anything, or adjust, okay.
All right, next thing I have is quotes for tires for the backhoe. And backhoe, 4 or 5 times we've had to put tubes in the tires, and those old tires, the rubber's mashed in and it's cutting the tube. So Bobby was patching potholes here on North Scott the other day, right as you go off the 114 to the railroad track. And I pulled up next to him and I could hear it hissing. And instead of it just being the front tires that keep doing it, now it's the rear tires. So as you can see, I contacted 4 companies, and then it wasn't until later this afternoon I was texted the number of another tire company. I did not get a chance to get a hold of them before they closed today. Well, you got Raven, BGA Tire Center, Slushers. Well, no, Titan is the second BGA. They had 2 different brand tires. Then Slushers, and then Libby Equipment is who is the Case dealer, and they said, we don't even show pricing for tires, you gotta get them straight from Case, and it's gonna be outrageous. The third, or the 5th one that I was sent is, and like I said, I couldn't get to them before they closed today. My Team Best One Tire. Is that in Sikeston? No. I don't know where it's at. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to contact them. So,
It's like Flushers is the.
Well,
Slushers is, they didn't have, the girl on the phone couldn't tell me what it would cost for mounting and disposal.
So
So that's why there's,
so Raven would be the best, but the mounted and disposable.
mounting and disposal is Raven. And just so you know, I Googled, because he said Galaxy brand tires, well, I never heard of them. Well, Galaxy is Yokohama's ag line of tires. D-Stone is owned by some company called Priority Tires, and then Titan brand tires are made by Goodyear. That's their ag line. So if you want, I can wait until tomorrow and contact that Mike One Best or whatever it's called and see what his prices are.
We'll be without.
We're without the equipment. We're without the equipment. And James, I talked to James Friday, or maybe it was Saturday, because we had that bad storm come through on Friday and it snapped my flagpole. Well, I saw it on my porch Saturday morning, so I played my camera back, and James is the one that went around. And he picked up the flag, got it out of the road, and he said that the fire department worked until 2:30 that morning clearing trees.
I appreciate it.
And
I had no
he
idea.
said, you know, it'd be nice if he was the only one operating the equipment, if he could have a key to the gate up there, and if an event like this happens again,
You can have access.
you know, since he is a paid city employee, being a fire chief, and he has experience being a maintenance man here before operating the backhoe. And I told him, I said, James, you know,
We need to work that out in the personnel section.
we would have to discuss that, but as it says right now, the backhoe's out of condition because of flat rear tire. So if the board wants to.
Did Raven say how quick they can get those tires?
Yes, Raven said he didn't have guys to come over and do it. We would have to take the rims off the backhoe. I'll have to borrow a trailer, take them over there, but he said if everyone on this list said that if you chose them, all they have to do is call their distributor and it'd be a day or two and they would have the tire. So worst case scenario, we would be Thursday or Friday with Raven, and then Bobby and I have to go over there with the trailer, get them, and then use the forks on the Kubota to get them off the trailer. Because that rear tire with the rim and everything is going to be heavy.
Raven looks like the best to me.
Can we use ARPA funds for this also?
Matt, would tires for the backhoe qualify as ARPA expense?
I'd have to read into that, I don't know. I don't think so, but I'll have to.
We have funds in general to cover.
Well, if we're using the backhoe for digging and it's a piece of equipment that has dual purpose.
Yeah, I can certainly see the possibility.
Well, we can make the motion that if funds can be used out of ARPA, we use that first, if not, then we use the general.
Pay out.
And then Mac can get over.
And you can let me know tomorrow, next day or something. All right, any other discussion about the tires for the backhoe? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the Galaxy brand tires from Raven Tire for the backhoe in the amount of $2,030 on the assumption that we can make use the ARPA funds. If not, we'll use the general funds.
Have a motion on the floor. Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Instead of trying to pick them up over inside. If I can't get access to that trailer, then that's what I'll make. All right, city employees, James not here, no signups. Does the board members? Susan, you have anything? Do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Alderman Deal? Alderman Dow? Alderman Hodgson?
Yeah, I do. Real quick. So May of '21, I had asked about starting a new Facebook page because we could not access the former Facebook page because the former clerk would not relinquish that information, and so we were kind of locked out. We didn't have really options. I upon your request, had contacted Facebook, tried to, so anyway, in June, you approved for me to start a new Facebook page, and we incorporated the clerk and that kind of thing. And so the clerk took over those responsibilities, and I was just a moderator on those. And so on July 7th of this year, I was removed, and so I sent that, to you, Mayor, and said, hey, or to the board, and said, hey, what's going on? And Matt responded, the city attorney said, this has not been discussed with me. My suggestion to all people involved is just leave it alone till the next meeting. So just wanted to visit that.
Okay, what date you said that was approved for you to be?
That was in June of 21, I'm sorry, that you okayed for us to start a new Facebook page.
Yes. So the June 14th, 2021 meeting, you were absent. And then June 29th, we had a special session, and there's no motions regarding the creation of the City Hall Facebook page, nor who's going to be the administrator.
So are you saying that it didn't happen?
I'm saying that in June 14th.
It might not be reflected in the meeting minutes.
Well, those meetings were recorded at that time. So I do have video recording of the meeting.
So maybe we could go back and revisit that.
They're on,
and take a look. Okay.
Matt, do you have anything to add to this?
In regards to the Facebook page in general, either it should be a city-only page or it should be a public-only page maintained by an individual citizen who is not an employee of the city.
Right.
One or the other, not both. I think that's just a recipe for disaster.
Anything else?
Could you explain why I was removed?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Gill? Ms. Gill said that you had access to go in there and read private messages.
It's a city page?
And Ms. Gill is the custodian of public records. If someone else is going in there, as acting as the city, and can make comments, can read messages.
Are you on page?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Who else is on?
I don't Facebook. Ms. Gill is the only person that logs into that Facebook page.
So Patty don't have access to it either?
No.
And that's the danger right there in it being a city page. The city clerk's probably the one, if that's how it's gonna stay, then the city clerk needs to be one charged because she is the custodian of records. Anybody that has access to it could then come in and delete things, and that's been an issue in this town in the past with, people not having the records that they're supposed to have. So I think that's the way to ensure that it's the city clerk is the one that has control, or it gets taken out of the city's hands, and then Gabby can take it over or somebody else.
And if that's how the board chose to proceed, that here going forward, we're going to make one single person responsible, then I feel like it should have been discussed at a board meeting, not just oh, by the way, now we've removed you because we don't want you reading our messages, without an email, a correspondence, a phone call to say, hey, look, we no longer want you acting on our behalf. Should have been discussed at a board meeting and said, this is how as a board collectively, we've decided we no longer want you to be a participant of that. But instead, we acted, and then, so now I'm trying, why? And there was never a response from anyone except for the city attorney, as to say, leave it as is, we'll discuss it at the meeting.
And
He's
when
the
I
only
read
person
his
who
message,
responded.
leave it as it is, I didn't reply. So,
But we didn't leave it as it was. I mean,
well, we would have to have reversed what was already done.
yeah.
Should have been another person.
And he said, leave it as it is. Well, in all actuality, it should have never been set up the way it was set up.
Yeah.
Being as the clerk is the custodian of public records. Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, so no city employees. All right, I'll turn it over to the public. I'll get to you, man.
Okay.
Mr. Bobby? Well, you are a city employee. You got anything?
No, I got nothing to say.
Sir? Sir? Ma'am? Ms. Kim?
I just want to say that this is crazy. This is craziness about griping about raising the fee for late fees. Every bill you have has a late fee. I don't care what it is. And as you pointed out, all towns around us have it. And you like me, you like me. If you don't, so be it. I really don't care. But the bottom line is, this Your bills are due on the 10th.
Let's let her talk, let's let her talk.
Your bills are due on the 10th. And you go down and pay them on the 10th. If you don't get a check later, I'm on disability, I'm on low kid income. But you save your money from, if you're not handling your money properly, that's not their fault, that's yours. Go someplace and figure out how to handle it.
Okay, let's be respectful of everyone, please.
Yes.
Let's
So-
not,
They're just talking to amongst themselves behind me. So, I'm just telling you that you can, if you can't, you need to get some help in doing that. Then you'll be able to pay your bills on time. If you can't pay your bills on time, then you need to pay that fee. You're no different than anybody else. Everybody has a late fee. And you're not going to please everybody all the time. It's not going to happen, because you got your little few that's going to be unhappy.
Folks, I'm going to try to be as friendly about this as I can and remind everybody that if you're not the one that's been given the floor, please give them the respect to speak without having to talk over you. I'm having a hard time hearing again.
Yes, sir.
ma'am, do you have
Thank you.
anything else?
No, I just think that you should do that. I mean, the bill's due the 10th. You don't have to wait till you can't control the post office. Bottom line.
Sir, in the back? You have anything? Mr. Austin? Ms. Linda? Mr. Raymond?
The only thing I have to say about this bill, the electric company won't give you no breaks. The gas company won't give you any breaks. If you don't pay your bills, they shut you off. If there's some people need financial aid, maybe there's some financial aid out there for them that are on limited income. That's all I gotta say.
Ma'am?
I do. I've more got a question. As
Okay.
far as your guys' city marshal, are you guys offering a full-time or a part-time position for a trained officer?
That will be up for the Board of Aldermen to decide. The pay, hours, that's all a Board of Aldermen decision.
So it won't be like the public can't know what you're offering an hour for the police officer?
That typically is set, unless the board sets it beforehand, which we're having a personnel meeting following this meeting, where we can discuss those matters. It's been brought to my attention, there's a gentleman that's in the process of moving from Indiana or Ohio or Kentucky.
That would be my children's father,
Okay, that's your husband then.
my ex.
Your ex, okay. And I spoke to the city attorney about this today to see if the state of Missouri has reciprocity with post-certification. You know, if you get certification in one state, do you just have to get continuing education
All
hours?
he has to do is recertify. He will not have to go back through the academy.
Just has to take the exam.
He just has to take the exam. He had already applied for sections, so we're already aware of it will transfer over. He actually has more hours than what the state of Missouri requires. The state of Kentucky requires more. So he has more than Illinois and Missouri both require from him. He's also got 15 years of back military behind him.
Now, if he's the gentleman that called the city or sent a message, he was told, you know, he could come and get an application. And did you bring one tonight? No, I forgot it. Didn't bring an application. But yes, he's available to pick up an application. We get application. We've advertised twice in the past for city marshal, and no one has applied. So if he's interested, we'll
He
definitely
is
take his
interested, but he's
application.
not
and-
interested in a part-time position because he is going to be moving 2 hours. It's not worth moving 2 hours and leaving the sheriff's department for a part-time position. Yes, he wants to be closer to his children, but he can be closer within an hour at a full-time position. But being here puts him near his children. He's got children in the fire department. He's got children at home. You know, it's not that he's moving down here just to be the police officer. He's moving down here to be with his kids.
Understood. Yeah, well, are you local?
Yes.
Well, could you come by City Hall and pick up an application for it?
Yes.
Okay. As soon as we get it, we'll call personnel meeting and see what the board wants. Ma'am?
Okay, I'm the one that started all the trouble at the City Hall. And I apologize for it, I apologize to Mr. Cecil at the time. I came up there to ask him if he would turn the water over there, over on Scott Street, his house that I was selling to these ladies here. And they wanted the water on so they could they go in and clean. You know, you were there, you weren't there when we had the meeting, when he and I got into it, and I called him a bad word and he called me one. And so, anyway, I said, if you just turn it on 3 or 4 hours, they can go in there and clean. Well, he just wasn't gonna do it.
Well, when Patty come in there and got me and said, Miss Diane wanted to speak to me,
Yeah.
I said, I'm not familiar with the situation.
Right.
Let's go in Mr. Cecil's office and have him print it out, and I told you then.
Yes.
Yes, we can get the water turned
Right.
on for a little while. They can do some painting, they can do cleaning.
Right.
But somebody would have to be there
Well,
when the water gets turned on, because we can't just turn on the water and nobody's home, and if there's a leak in there, it damages
That's
more
what we
stuff.
need it on for, to find out where the
Yeah.
leak is.
See,
Pardon?
That's why we need the water on, so we can find out where the leak is.
it's out in that outbuildings where the leak's at, I found out where it's at. But anyway, the situation happened between Mr. Cecil and I was trying to explain to him that they wanted the water on. Oh, he was not gonna hear it. I mean, he looked down on me like I was inbred or something.
He's gone now.
And he's just, you know, he's what part of code enforcement do you not understand?
Hey, I think some of
It's
the
real
stuff
like
on
one
this
of
list
rules.
is ridiculous.
And I said,
Come on,
well,
y'all, where we can hear the residents that are talking.
I said, you know, they're trying to move, and they want to move as quickly as they can, they want to get in there, they can get the stuff done. The roof had to be finished up, the doors had to be put back on.
Done
They
and
did
done.
broke into 4 times in 1 week, they done tore the doors completely off the hinges. And so they were trying to get that done, but he was not gonna do it, he flat refused to do it. So
But
that's
when
what-
I went in there, you know, what kind of took me by surprise was I'd never heard of anybody calling anybody a curse word until you apologized as we was leaving.
No, it was before you came in there.
I know that, but you never brought it to my attention at the
Well,
time.
I didn't, but we were talking and anyway, when I asked Patty, she'd go, if you were there, can I speak to you? Then you came out there, now Patty, Gail, you, all y'all, very, very respectable, I don't have any problem with anybody, they've always been nice to me. But that man was one of the rudest people I've ever dealt with. And I told him, I said, I can see right now you're not gonna help someone, I have to talk to the mayor or somebody, but I said, all they're trying to do is get started so they can get things going. But he just wasn't gonna do it.
Right, well, he was made aware with you present that yes, the water can be turned on for cleaning. We've done that for numerous people here in
Well, and
town.
he said, no, I don't ever turn the water on people.
Well, he's no longer here, so you
I
don't have to
know,
worry about it.
but and that's when I apologized to him, you were standing there, I said, I'm sorry I called you that, but I said, you were talking down to me, and I don't like people to talk down to me. And so then he kind of, after you got in there, he was real nice, but he wasn't before we got in there. So all this stuff that's been going on Facebook and all this stuff, I'm sorry all that got started on all this because I didn't post those comments. Somebody put on there, they need to fire this one, I didn't put all that stuff on there. And I'm gonna apologize to y'all too because we got a can of worms open, but I can get the lid back on.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize for the actions or words of other people.
Yeah, that's the actions of others.
I just didn't want everybody thinking that I'd done, caused all this trouble when y'all didn't do anything to me. Patty didn't, y'all didn't, and he was the only one that really got rid of it. My grandson went up there and wanted to talk to him, and he got smart with him, and so he recorded all of it. And I brought the recording with me, but there's no internet here, so I can't show it to you. But he got real rude with my grandson too. But anyway, I just wanted y'all to know that I didn't do all this on purpose. I didn't start all this trouble.
Okay, that's part of it, Mr. Ma'am? Sir in the back? Okay. Ma'am?
No, the only thing is, they have contacted, Monica and Helen, they have contacted, Dayop. But they have to move in there, and then Dayop will come in and they'll do all the work. I mean, but they have to live there.
Well,
They've got the lights on.
Now, I don't have it in front of me, but the exterior and interior inspection reports that Colin done, and he didn't show me pictures after you left.
Well, the roof, they got the roof finished up. They got the doors are back on, and they've got a lot of stuff done already, but they have to get actually in the house before they'll before they'll winterize it and do all that stuff to it.
Well, you spoke of exposed wiring. Is there exposed wiring? I know you said that, Miss Diane, you said there were some crackheads in there previously.
Yeah, I run them off. Twice I run them off in there because they're.
I didn't see no exposed wiring though.
I don't either, but anyway.
Just that wire that was hanging in the mud room, I call it,
that's
coming
what
in.
the
But it's not, it's just,
It's just exposed.
yeah, it's just where the tile, or the, what is it?
Sheetrock.
The sheetrock
All
fell.
right, well,
Yeah.
we'll get to it. All right, sir? Tommy?
Me?
Yeah, you.
All I know is they put a $50,000 roof on that house. And the house don't leak anymore.
Okay, so you got the roof repaired?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
But I know the roof was all, the shingles was on the ridge cap for about 2 years.
One more
Yeah.
thing. What about the code enforcement now? Can they go ahead and move in?
Well, that's something the board's gonna have to discuss, because before we turn on utilities, the buildings have to be inspected.
Yeah.
And I'm no building
But
inspector.
he nitpicked that place.
Bobby's not a building inspector.
Well,
If it makes you feel any better, when we moved here in Morehouse, Pete Leahy was the mayor. He flunked us because we didn't have maybe 2 of the little outlet faceplates on.
well, they just want to
It's got me thrown out in one air conditioner, which there are 2 there.
Okay. Ms. Bishop? Ms. Bishop,
Yes.
you have anything?
No.
Ms. Darla?
I want to know what can be done about the people that moved in the house on the corner from me.
Yeah.
On Marshall and Boone.
The brown house has got squatters in it.
Right.
Yes.
Well, so has the other one down
And they
on
have
Boone
a pit
Street.
bull,
Hang on, I can't hear it, Darla. What's that?
and they have a pit bull that runs around, but they're usually there at nighttime. There's a white guy, a black guy, and a white girl.
Red pickup truck?
And they're ready to But they're there, the electric's on. I don't know how they got the electric on, but they got an air conditioner in the window.
But
They don't
nobody
have
lives
city
there.
water, because they have
Nobody's
Bobby
supposed
go
to
check it, it's locked out, right? Yeah, the
They
water's
got
locked out.
electric some way, 'cause I've seen lights in there.
Who owns the house?
Now, Matt, what can be done in a situation like that?
Who owns the house?
Don't know.
We need to find that out, because we don't have the authority to do anything, other than cut the water off. which is already done.
Yeah, water and
Michelle
sewer's already
Bradshaw.
shut off. Who?
Michelle Bradshaw.
My recommendation to start off is to contact the property owner and say, hey, you've got squatters on the property.
Michelle what?
Gonzalez Bradshaw.
Because if they cause a nuisance, that's one thing, that's someplace where the city could act, but that's,
Well, the girl was walking across the yard naked the other day.
it sounds like, and the dogs in the yard.
Okay. I'll start, like the city attorney said, contacting the property owner, letting them know that, hey, you got squatters in there.
We may
And then
still,
we can move
he
on.
may
You
still
know
have
it,
the
they got a
property
drop
owner's
board
phone
right, that
number.
one house over
Because
there.
we no, that's one, they're talking
I
about
got
the Bradshaw
something.
house.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I forgot about it. Where Bradley, my cousin, used to live, there's a little shotgun house that somebody's staying in. They're running a drop cord from his house over to the house. It's like 2 rooms. There's no bathroom, there's no running water, and they don't have any electricity.
It's out in Virginia, Coton, or
Yeah.
Brad Coton.
But right between Miss Kathy and
Yeah.
Brad.
Yeah,
Across the street, little gray house.
yeah, across the street from Carl. Yeah, no, it's a good house.
Yeah, they got an extension cord right across. On the other side of the yard, they have the tent set up, and the guy was sleeping in it. Didn't blow away.
Okay, well, hopefully we can get a police officer, some of these things be addressed.
I hate that shoot somebody.
Carl?
All kind of want to know is, because we pay for this ordinance, go on side.
Yes, sir.
You'll get that.
That was one of the things that took up Mr. Collins about 4 hours out of his, he worked 1 day a week. Everybody's making a big deal of code enforcement, like he's a full-time man. He worked 8 hours a week, and about 3 or 4 hours, and I'm getting to that, Carl. He spent the majority of his time working with Lawrence Perry with E-Code to codify those ordinances. They're digitally there. but you have to have someone go through and certify that they match the city's adopted building codes and everything else. You know, all the board members here, we have login access to it, the city attorney has login access to it, the city clerk has login access to it. But on those ordinances, when you go to print one out, it tells you up in the corner, code in progress. So you can't go by them and we can't release it to the public until every one of them has been gone through. Yeah, you're right, there was $8,000 spent and it's $15 a page for each ordinance that's added to it. But yeah, you're right, and Colin was working on that. Hopefully, in his resignation letter, he said that he would put stuff on a flash drive and update with the progress, so hopefully we'll get it there one of these days.
I know you paid $8,000, they heard from me.
Yeah, yeah. Sir? Ma'am? Someone in the back?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I feel each and every one's situation. I really do. I know that these are difficult times. Everything has gone up. But also that water system was put in, which automatically made a rate increase. We all know that, Tommy. You know, and that was before this board's position was ever put in place. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, y'all fell into it, but now we've got to keep this thing afloat. Yes, it's ridiculous water rate. Everyone in this room should be able to agree to that. But I have heard positives, I've heard negatives, I have sympathized, empathized. There's hard times. My husband was off work for 4 months with no money coming in on his side of it. I was over a month taking care of him. I had no money because when you work for the hospital, your ETO, your sick time, your vacation time is one little bundle. And when it's gone, it's gone. So I understand those things. I know it's extremely difficult. We have several widow ladies here that are living on very fixed incomes. Okay? So we've got to try to come together and figure out a solution instead of everyone fighting each other. Kayla, I would like to address you, sir. I understand your frustration. I understand you put it on Facebook. However, I don't believe your mother raised you to be as vengeful as you appear to be with some of these texts. I believe your mother probably, I hope and pray, that she says, Caleb, hey, let's back off. Okay?
Got a right to speak his
He does,
Let's let her go.
he does have a right to speak his mind. He talks about people need to go to church. Is this a godly thing that you're doing?
I said it comes short of the glory of God, but let me tell you this. If I talked to you the way he talked to my mom, we wouldn't be having this
Well,
conversation
why
right
did you
now.
not address him one-on-one, sir?
I have addressed him one-on-one, and they conspired and sent a big old letter to the Missouri Ethics Commission trying to get it legally and lawfully.
Let's watch the accusations there.
Yeah.
We can talk through.
My name was in on the deal, so I could talk.
Okay. If you
So,
want to discuss
yeah, you know,
that.
I've been quiet on Facebook for a long time, and I'm sorry that some people have felt uncomfortable. You know, sometimes you gotta do stuff like that for things to get done. You know, but we're moving in the right direction now, and I'm happy and I'm satisfied, and everybody up there is confident, and I know that we're going the right direction.
And your mother is on this board.
I'm 30 years
So
old,
she-
my mother's 50, you know, so
That's right.
I'm a voter, I'm a taxpayer, I do my own thing, she does her own.
Well, tell her to get better than your mother's son. That's another thing.
Hey, be
Remember,
respectful.
as we were taught, I was taught, your mother, I'm sure, was taught. I'm sure she taught you. Anything you do, anything you say, reflects back on us. I have told my children that. It does, whether you realize it or not. And you're absolutely right. You're 30 years old, you don't need to pay taxes, you vote. You have a right to speak. That's one of the few things we've got the right to is our freedom of speech.
Yes, ma'am.
But be respectful to your mother, okay? Because it does reflect back on you, whether you realize it or not, son.
I'm not doing nothing that your son hadn't already done to Mayor Pete Lake Highway 2 years ago. So, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade, you know? And have I ever been nothing but respectful for you? When I rode in the truck with you and your husband, I was raging mad, son of a gun. And I kept it cool and I kept it respectful. And I said, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, and I will continue to do so.
And when you went around and said, let's make Morehouse great
Yes,
again,
ma'am.
how many times were you tackled? We were on that truck together, like you said.
And I didn't hackle you either, it was a
No,
mutual
you
deal.
didn't. I didn't hackle you.
No, you
There's
didn't.
people in the town who sit on their porches who would not get out and help and clean up. That's where a lot of the frustrations come in. And Caleb, you know yourself, how many people in this town volunteer? There's young people, they didn't volunteer.
Yes, ma'am.
It was elderly people
Yes, ma'am.
that was out there. You were behind them.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate
You did.
that. And you did too. It was a group effort, and that's what we want to see. That's why everybody's here. Everybody is a group
And that's
concern,
what we
and we all need to work together. You
Absolutely.
know,
That's
I don't want
what we
anybody to be a
want to
bad guy.
start
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But when I see the things that have been going on, I'm gonna talk. Because somebody needs to. Forever till the day I die, I will stand up for what's right and defend the innocent men and women and elderly in this
And I
town.
think that most of us would agree with that. If
Yes,
someone
ma'am.
is, Miss Evelyn stated, she saw an individual being attacked the other night.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, it's sad. That's sad.
But you know, Brianna, I appreciate your courage, stepping up and doing the right thing. You know, and Colin Cecil, that worked itself out. So, you know, I will pull it with my Facebook post. And, because it sounds like we're gonna move in the right direction. But if there's an extended period of time where we haven't done anything, then I'm gonna start talking about it.
Well, and the board will have to come up with a monetary amount that will invite someone, entice someone to pay.
Right, so the board can tell us tonight that, you know, this is you're gonna have a sense of urgency on this, and you're gonna have a budget meeting, and then, you know, give us a status update on when we're gonna hire police officers. 'Cause that's really why we're on here. I mean, there's some other stuff, you know, but yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Hunter,
ma'am. Ms. Kathy?
I just need to go to the city hall and have Patty fill out a work order on that commuter down there.
Yes. Yep. Ma'am? Ms. Karen? Ma'am? Ron? Sir? Ma'am? Sir? Ma'am? Sir?
Yeah. Pretty cool. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. All right? There's a few things like the board, I think we've got one of the best boards. Everybody on the board.
I agree.
Do you know, they're all volunteers. You know, everybody's making a big deal about where's the money. They're trying very hard. The only real income this town has is water meters. And 75% of our fees going to pay for our meter. You know, so that doesn't leave a lot for the city. We're not overrun. The one thing that was on the last ballot, and I hope it's on the next ballot, is we need to pass the internet sales tax. And it's going to be pennies to each one of us. But everybody thinks, oh, I don't need to pay no more taxes. But you'll be collecting taxes from people in this area that doesn't even live here, too. But if you want all these improvements to the city, you're going to have to give the city something to work with. The other thing that everybody's all up in a roar about is the sheriff. And I've posted on Facebook, and I tried to explain and to the best of my ability, this is going to need to be an elected position. It's a appointed position, not an elected position. Our town population has shrunk. The pool that we have in this town, the people that we have that would even want to be a sheriff, is very slim. The other thing, the big advantage too, is when it's an appointed position, we can hire somebody that's experienced. Just like she's talking about, 15-year military.
They don't have
And
to
nothing
live here.
against Brianna or nothing like that or anybody else, but the way it's working now, we're gonna have somebody right out of the police academy with no real world experience. The other thing is you don't have any control over it. They're voted in for a 2-year term. If they walk out on you, we're right back in this situation again.
You're right.
And you know what? I hope that deal works out with your ex, but I don't think he'll take it. Because if he got appointed today, he's not eligible to run for a position because he doesn't live here.
Right.
So
But
it would
he can
be,
live here.
huh?
There's nothing stopping him from.
Okay, if he lived here in the city limits, he could run for that position.
How long do they?
But there's a time, they have to live here for so long.
Yeah, and that's up, I don't know what that is, it's 6 months or a year, I've heard both. But anyway, if it's an appointed position, the board has control then. If they're not doing their job, the board can let them go and find somebody else to do the job. If they're voted in, they can jack off and they can do this and do that, and it's hard to get them out of office. They're just wasting your money. You're wasting your money, you're paying part of their schooling or whatever, but it just ends up in a vicious cycle. But anyway, that's my opinion, and I just want to voice that to you. Years ago, it worked, but we're down to 700 people.
Right. I
All right.
understand that, and our clients
80% of them are
dead.
our age.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want the position.
I wouldn't, no,
You know.
I'm gonna retire.
So that's something to consider. You're going to have to trust this board when they're trying to guide you and say, all right, this needs to be an appointed position. And not think they're taking your vote away from you. You're actually giving them your
The
vote.
authority.
That's right.
The cop, we need a cop in here.
And it would have happened already.
Crime rates is like this, people are getting.
It would have happened already if it was an
Stolen,
appointed
gas
position.
stolen.
We could have appointed one the minute Jackie quit.
Right.
But no one's going to take that position to finish out a term
Right.
and then have to run for reelection.
We're gonna get it worked out.
All right, I'm good.
You vote, sir?
Just, a lot of the stuff that I had is working itself out, praise the Lord. This bid on this tree cleanup, instead of bidding it, maybe we can have a sign-up sheet, volunteer, see if anybody wants to sign up, what resources we do have, how many chainsaws, if anybody wants to come up with bobcats, skid steer, or anything like that. Maybe let's entertain that before we try to spend money on it.
Well, Bobby brought his chainsaw from home and started cutting down on this side of the ditch.
Yes, sir.
The ditch has been full of water and he couldn't get across it. Now, it may be dry enough now.
Now, for that said, Caleb, we'll have to get with the attorney.
We've got
Find
waivers.
out what the legalities of having private citizens out there working.
Right. Yes, sir.
Just give me enough time, I'll get it done. It just takes a little while.
Well, more hands, less work, and stuff, and maybe we can have a sign-up sheet, and maybe we can post on Facebook, hey, the city's looking for volunteers to save money, if you want to help us save money.
Molly, I got 8-year-old boys, they can help you.
Yeah. All right, so we got three.
That's gotta be like this.
All right, Levi, you gonna help us too, brother? You're a young strapping man, all right, so we got 4 of us, right? Hey,
We've already addressed that.
that's really all I have. And, me and Miss Marilyn covered the Facebook stuff, Like I said, I think everybody in here knows my heart and knows that, I just want to see some things done. It was getting out of hand. It was just downright lawless down here, and somebody's son was going to get shot. And we all have crackhead cousins and stuff like that. We hope they turn over a new leaf. We don't want to see anybody get hurt, and we need the police officer and that's working itself out. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No, I do have a comment about something you made earlier about everybody conspiring against your mother. That ethics commission complaint, I didn't know about it until after it happened. And it was done on that employee's private time And they're free to do that. Anyone's free to file
I feel like
a
you
complaint
don't.
against me.
I feel like you don't.
I didn't know nothing
You
about it
know
until
about
after
the
the
Missouri
fact.
Ethics Commission, you know all about it, but I would, you know.
It's in, when you run for public office, you get a Missouri Ethics Commission book. Okay, moving on, Ms. Catherine.
Okay, first off, I want to tell Kim, thank God that she's never had financial difficulty. I happen to have a husband that had 2 primary cancers for 14 years, and I had spent all my $8 an hour money that I made working in the city, taking him back and forth to the office, and going to St. Louis and going there and help them. So I'm glad we don't ever have no difficulty. Next, I got somebody squatting in the house next, which it's already been brought up, I just want to make sure it's right there, don't forget. Next, I'm damn sick and tired, I'm sorry, but I'm sick and tired of these pit bulls and all these druggies around here, and every one of these druggies. Macho.
You're not gonna find anyone in town except maybe those dog owners, the people that own that dog, that's gonna disagree with you. And when you catch it running loose, they claim it's not their dog.
Well, I was told today, now I don't know whether, I was told that Susan, whatever her name is, Susan, Majors, and somebody else was gonna start catching dogs and gonna start taking care of them for the city. Well, when you do that, you're gonna open up yourself to some, city.
That's a rumor, Ms. Catherine. I got a folder here that Susan got from Missouri Department of Agriculture on all the regulations for an animal show.
Yes.
Even to hold a dog, you have to get it approved through U.S.
That's
Department of
right.
Agriculture.
You gotta pour concrete, you gotta have the shelters, you gotta have the fence, you gotta have all that stuff.
You got a log
It's a
and
beginning
everything,
process.
water.
I have kitty cats. I never wanted kitty cats because I never liked them. But they come to my house and they adopted me. So you know what I did? I got them fixed. And they stay right around my house or in my house. And Karen can tell you, she's my witness. And twice now, I've had a pit bull come to my house with my cats are on my front porch and try to eat them. And I got out there the other day and had to holler to Tom to go get the gun for me because I was between the dog and the kitten.
Me and my
If
son.
you got cats, get them fixed. If you got dogs, get them fixed. If you
Okay,
got
let me say
critters, put them up on a damn leash, because I'm sick of it. And they come to my yard, they're gonna get shot. Because I ain't bringing up cats no more. I agree.
Look, I have looked into the regulations, and me and Joe have talked about this, and once we get through the regulation, we're looking at grants. If we can't get the grant, then we're looking at getting fundraisers going, okay? We're trying our best.
This is a situation that affects a lot of towns this size in this part of the state. Morley's got the same problem because they don't have a facility to house them. They can't afford to build a facility to house them. Nobody wants to take them in or even have them put down. It costs money to do that too.
That's right.
You get stuck between a rock and a hard place.
And I contacted.
We used to pay tax to take them, I know that. 'Cause I took them.
Hey, can we quiet down some of the chit chat so we can hear the
Okay,
conversation?
I contacted within 150 miles between here and all over. Rescuers have no room.
Nobody has room right now.
Milford has the same problem as we do. Bloomfield has the same problem as we do. Minor has the same problem as we do.
I see like Karen somewhere down in the pits of my poor old mind, I remember us passing an ordinance about pit bulls that
We did.
We did.
He threw it out.
Yeah.
No, I was there, no sir, I was there and it was passed. Not about the insurance, Pete, stop talking about the insurance.
Well, and then the question is, what does the city do with it? Right.
Exactly.
Do what?
What does the city do with it?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what a rescuer told me. If a pit bull is in rescue, nobody wants that pit bull. Nobody wants to rescue
I know
that
that.
pit bull.
I
That's
mean,
what they told
my
me.
daughter helps transport rescues and stuff. I mean, she's got 6 dogs of her own, but
Not one, but 6.
yeah. But she lives out in the country and she takes care of them. They all stay, they got a doggy door, they go in and out and they stay in their fenced in yard. And they don't bother nobody because they're out, and they got no neighbors on the road. But the next time I get hemmed up on my front porch by a pit bull, I'm going to shoot him. That's just being clear. Somebody said, oh, you'll go to jail. I said, hell at my age, that ain't no deterrent.
Let me hear it through your life, though, you'll have to.
Miss Evelyn? Miss Evelyn?
She is right. I remember the ordinance being passed about the pit bulls, and people had to have insurance on those dogs.
The insurance is no longer required. And as the city attorney just said, you know, what do you do with it? How do you go about enforcing it?
I don't know, Joey. There's one across the street where you guys have shut their water off. They got 2 kids over there. They moved down the house, but there's a pit bull in a pen back there. And me and my brother have been feeding and watering.
Well, Miss Evelyn, a few months back, when you talked about a dog tied to a bumper,
Yeah, it's still over there.
somebody gave you the phone number for the Humane Society.
I called the Humane Society this week.
And you can make complaints to them.
And they will not even talk to me. I had a sick kitten down there, they come up, and had all kinds of infection running out of his face, and I had to have somebody put it down.
Anything else, Miss Evelyn?
No, I'm here for Gabby. We did elect her. She is our alderman on our side, and we call
Alderman Dill is also an alderman on your side. Dobbs.
Right.
Yeah.
You're doing double duty.
D-I-L-L and
She's my
D-I-A-L.
closest one, though.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I called the city, and they lied to me.
About?
I don't know why y'all's lying.
About?
If you can call, I called last week because the neighbor dog gonna kill my cat. I took storm windows off of my windows to paint my windows. He tore them all up, dug holes in my shed, and this dog is a vicious dog, and I'm tired of it.
Did you call the county?
I called the county, and they said, we're not dog catchers, we're police officers, we need to be on the street.
And
We need a dog catcher. I don't care, we need a dog catcher.
Hey, we're getting a police officer, so I think that, you know, in the
That's only
duties.
gonna come.
I mean, I'm gonna confirm what she says, because once I had to call the police,
Kill
and they
two my
said they
cat, kill
said I had to
Roman.
go through the site stuff, so.
Anything
No,
else?
I'm mad. Can you buy windows
I can't
for me,
confirm
David?
what she said, Mr.
All right, I need a portal.
Okay, I have a couple things.
Okay.
So from what I'm being told, that there is a previous ordinance that from the mayor down to the city worker can step in and be a dog catcher. Even though you're a dog catcher, I understand that you guys don't have anywhere to house them and that you gotta have concrete pad and all that. So I did talk to Susan about the concrete pad that is across from the fire department. Is that owned by the city that they could maybe put, I mean, you wouldn't have to pay for a concrete pad that way.
That is
putting
a
up
city-owned
with-
lot. But the thing is, we have to have from, Department of Agriculture, a permit. All that has to be permitted, it's regulated. It's not just a matter of having a concrete pad and throwing a fence up around it, and you catch the dogs and throw them in there. You have to keep logs of when the dog was arrived, when it was fed, when it was watered.
The insurance is gonna go up too. We've had a facility
Well,
like that.
we can't
have these
continue
dogs
to,
out that shore
we
off
can't
property and
continue to
stuff.
have these
And
dogs,
vicious.
and it's not just pit bulls, it is not just pit bulls.
Well, I had told Joe this morning that I would like to put, like, it's not a board or anything like that, it's just a committee of women and men, whoever want to get involved, to talk about what we can get done and what we can't, okay? And what I'm suggesting is that we get together and communicate, not argue back and forth, because I'm not gonna do no drama. And what we could do is see if we can get a fundraiser, see if we can, you know, because like the agriculture guy told me, we've had one grant, it's gonna be really hard to get another one. That was his exact
Well, I know
words.
when Bob Hoskins and them worked for the city, they were our dog catchers.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
and I
and
understand
they-
that.
But the problem with that was they was housing those dogs in the
Up there
city
in
garage,
Right.
and that's not legal. We don't wanna get ourselves in a situation.
Well, I don't want y'all
Well,
to
the
get in
dog
trouble either.
owner should be responsible for paying
And she thinks it's
a
funny.
fine
She thinks it's funny.
that their dogs are out running loose. I mean, they purposely let their dogs run loose.
Okay.
So,
Well, and I'll tell you the same thing that I've told people in some of the other towns that I represent. When you have a situation like this, and especially when we don't have a police officer, if you'll come down to City Hall and fill out a complaint with the person that you believe owns the dog's name,
I did that.
if
I
you
went
do
to
that,
City Hall, but
I can
they don't.
file a nuisance charge against those people, but you'll have to come testify. And if you're not willing to do that,
Oh, I'll do it.
that's great. Let's get that
I'll
rolling.
do it.
Her
Because it's
cats
just,
and my cats got.
But then again, other than
Both of y'all
them
had
getting
cats.
fined,
And
we've
then
got
I
the
get
same
these
situation.
dogs,
We
I
can't
choose
take the
up.
dogs away from them. It's got anything to do with it.
Did you finalize the
Yeah,
complaint form?
they
Do
killed
you
Yes.
have that ready?
Mhm,
It's
yes.
available at City Hall?
Yep.
Okay. Can we get it, as the alderman, will you email that out so that we can see what that form looks
Sure.
like?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not saying it, so.
Okay. So there's a complaint form down at City Hall that the city attorney has made, and so you can go down there and fill it out, and it'll be then submitted to the clerk sends it to us, and as board members, then we can see also, but then he can also file charges against that owner.
Yeah, I got pictures of the dog in my yard.
And you know who owns the dog
Oh,
and all
yeah, it's
that?
actually, not actually the dog, it's Amanda dog.
That's what
And the dog is big.
He's
Come
a
on,
big,
it's a horse.
he's either a Bart Weimeyer or he's a Great Dane that has not had his ears clipped.
You know what dog I'm talking about?
Baseball bat.
Ma'am?
oh, I have another question.
Okay, go ahead, Rose. and we'll
Okay,
finalize.
when you go down and pay your water bill, even though we didn't get a bill last month, I still went down before, I went on the 10th. It was on the very last day. And when they put my payment into the computer, would that not cancel that past due balance on this month's bill?
Well, the collector's not here tonight. She could answer those questions. I'm not really familiar with the Kuzi software and how that system works.
But I think it should be automatic. If you put a cash payment into a computer, it's gonna automatically accept that payment.
Did you
And
get a
then-
receipt
Yes,
marked paid,
yes.
and then it showed in,
And still on my bill this month shows on 3 bills, I have 3 bills. And they all had past due balance on them.
Yeah, I had a couple of
And
this.
so them cash payments are not being applied to my bill. Or it would reflect on that next payment.
When do the bills
That
get
next
printed?
bill would show that I didn't have to pay the previous balance.
Well, the clerk fills in when the collector's gone, so maybe she
Well, what I'm
can
saying
speak a
is
little
that
bit
they
to
would-
how that, how the
I talked to her
process,
today,
After that, when
how does
it's
that process work?
Yeah.
I talked to her today and she wasn't sure because Patty wasn't there.
yeah, and Ms. Gale really doesn't get into the system.
Sure.
She doesn't enter the
It
payment.
takes your money at the window, she does not enter into the system.
It
Only Patty
wasn't-
does that.
It wasn't Gail that took the payment,
Okay.
last month.
Rose,
This month it was, but last month it was not.
Rose, you're saying 3 months
So 3
Three
bills, I
bills.
have 3 separate water bills.
for the same time period?
For 3 separate residents, I went down
Okay,
last
3
month
separate, I'm with you now.
and paid 3 separate bills for 3 separate houses. And every one of them had a past due balance this month on this bill.
But I'm
And you can watch
wondering,
the
this
argument
is what I'm
because you
wondering,
paid
I'm
it,
wondering
you know, you
if
paid
those
it.
bills didn't go out after.
I got a note here, and when Patty's in the morning, I'll address it with her, and we'll find out what's going on.
Yeah, because I don't wanna be be charged a late fee or them tell me that I didn't pay my bill or,
That's
you know, which I
understandable.
do have a receipt.
Yeah, if you got a
And I
receipt showing
showed
it's
them to
paid,
Ms.
it's-
Gale today.
It's
that-
paid.
That the bills was paid last month.
All right, well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. It's been a very productive meeting. Oh, Mr. Kirk, I forgot you. Somebody else. Oh,
I got 2 questions.
all right, so, okay, we're gonna
And
call it quits
it
after
won't take
this.
a big long line of explaining or anything. The city policeman, is that, she was asking, is it full-time or part-time? I thought our policeman was full-time.
Well, if the city marshal, the elected